Hey friend, it's me Vasco with a quick announcement. We at the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast are organizing this year's Scrum Master Summit. For tickets and details on the summit, check out the URL bit.ly/SM Summit 22. All one word, SMSUMMIT 22. And now, on to the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday. This week, we're not talking about success, but we will be talking about organizations with Jurgen Apelo. Hi, Jurgen. Welcome back.
Hey, Vasco. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you here to talk about the topic that the unFIX model puts in its tagline, right? It's about organizational design for continuous innovation and human experience. So that's kind of a big responsibility for that sometimes ignored organizational design aspect of the work that we do as Scrum Masters and Agile coaches. So over the years, we've seen many models of organizations come and go. I remember when I got started, the hierarchical model from the Industrial Revolution was just going out of fashion. And of course, at the time, project management was winning the organizational design battles, and the matrix model was coming in. And lately, and in parts also thanks to Agile, we've been talking about the end-to-end model from idea to market, shorter feedback cycles, etc. Now, unFIX is about organizational design, so I'm very interested to hear what are the models you considered when working on unFIX and which model you end up preferring.
Well, of course, I try to do my share of reading to be inspired by the great thinkers out there. And I must say that I found a lot more interesting thinking outside of the Agile community in the organization design world, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly. Where, for example, they had long figured out that matrix organizations don't really work well when we were still busy introducing them in the Agile community. Take the Spotify model, for example. That's actually just a matrix organization with fancy words.
It's actually an n-dimensional matrix organization, which makes it even more complex.
Right. And I know them personally, Anders Iversen and Henrik Knieberg. And of course, they made things better, but that was just a snapshot of how things were at Spotify, and they have improved tremendously since then. But there's a matrix concept there because chapter leads are managers of the people in that chapter. That means that you have different people on teams, on squads with different managers. And when things escalate, when there's a conflict, it bubbles up to different managers. And then the problem is when those managers have, again, different managers, you have things bubbling up, several layers across the organization. And I found super inspiring insight in the book by Nicolay Worren, Organization Design, Simplifying Complex Systems, a pretty new book, relatively new, where he said that the interesting side effect of this is that companies become more centralized, because more issues tend to tend to bubble up several layers up the hierarchy. It is like uncaught exceptions in software, right? You don't want them. You want them always to catch them at the next level, basically, or most of the time, and handle them there. And so he said the side effect is more centralized organizations where managers up there get a lot of conflicts resolution to handle, and you don't want that. So what I have borrowed from organization design, and then specifically also from one of the other books, this one is by Amy Cates, called Network, Scaled, and Agile. They talk about the front-back model, which is basically you have your value streams. We know how that works. No disagreement there. SAFe does that. Less does that. Spotify model does that. They'll have their value streams with different teams focused on a chunk of customer value. And they need to be able to do that end-to-end by themselves. They say, okay, that's good. That's the middle part of the model. But then the problem is you still have sub-optimization. You still have you still end up, and this has happened time and time again, they describe, that customers are confronted with multiple teams, multiple different teams that try to offer them value and basically compete with each other. For attention with the customer, features that don't work well across the different value streams, etc. So they say you need to top it off with something that goes across the value streams on the front part, customer facing, that sort of brings it all together. And this has become even more important in the current age and time because customers are confronted with many touch points with companies, whether it is web shops, apps, physical stores, support over the phone, etc. There are many different parts of the organization, finance with invoicing, that are in contact with the customer. You want that whole to be optimized. And while you might end up with different parts of the company still trying to offer value to the customer from their perspective, but there is nothing there to connect it all. So they say top it up with the front part. You can do the same at the other end, by the way, the back end. That's a pet peeve of mine. Suppliers being mistreated. We're moving into the gig economy, the freelance economy. Those people deserve to be treated with respect as well. And they also are in contact with different parts of the company. You want a more holistic experience there. Now, they call this the front-back model. Horizontal value streams in the middle, but then a vertical thing at the front and a vertical thing at the back to top it up, where you guarantee that the experience is a good one for your customers and for your employees. And then and that's my suggestion, you try not to have managers anywhere in all these crews. Managers go up there in the governance part. That's their job. Manage this system, this self-organizing system, as if it is a garden that you're trying to have flourish. That is their job. They need to have a little box there. And that is what is not addressed in SAFe or LESS or most of the others. They just leave it undefined where the managers go. And then guess what? You will have a matrix organization creep in through the back door.
Well, or actually, it never goes away because it's in most organizations, it's already there. And
Right.
And of course, no surprise, everybody makes a big effort of not changing that part because it messes with people's bonuses, salaries, and promotion
Exactly.
prospects.
So it helps to sell these frameworks because they can say, hey, well, you don't have to change anything with your management structure. We just use SAFe as an overlay, as a second layer or something, and then they call that the dual operating system, quote unquote, which is, in my opinion, a misuse of Kotter's use of the term. They just mean let's not touch any management territories because we might upset some managers.
It's like a veritable Game of Thrones.
Yeah, you end up with a matrix organization with all the troubles that this entails.
You touched on a topic here that I would like to explore a little bit more. You talked about the customer experience of this front-back model, right? Like not having to talk to 3 or 4 or 5 different teams to get one problem solved because, oh, I'm sorry, we're not the web team. You need to send an email here if you want web support. And then when you're using the app, you talk to the web team and they say, oh, I'm sorry, we're not the app team. You need to talk to the app team if you want support on the app. This just happened to me yesterday. It's very infuriating, by the way. Everybody out there designing product support should be the same for everybody and not separated by teams. But we talked about that, right? Customer experience of the front-back model. But one of the things that the unFIX model focuses on is also the employee experience. So walk us through how you see the front-back model helping in that respect.
Yeah, so what I define in unFIX is the governance crew at the top of the model. They are in their own little blue box. And I say they only go there. They are not allowed to be anywhere else. So no middle management, no managers on the teams, or I call them crews, no managers on the forums that are like chapters in the Spotify model, no managers anywhere except in the governance crew. That makes it clear that makes it certain that no matter where people work in the base, any conflict that they might have on their crew or on the forum, whatever, it can bubble up only one level, and then it will arrive at the governance crew. And no matter which two people you take, they will both have managers in the governance crew who work as a team. That is at least the point of the governance crew. They act as a team, so the exception is caught, so to speak, at the next level up. And their responsibility of the governance crew is to take care of the human experience of the employees. Everyone is working in the base. And then when these people feel great, they can take care of the customers with their value streams, multiple value streams you might have. Perhaps you use less on some of those value streams. Maybe you use SAFe, maybe you use Scrum at Scale or DEXs, whatever. I am neutral in regard to that. But I do suggest that you have an experienced crew topping it off, which is more than just product, by the way. We'll get to that on Friday. And an acquisition crew, as I call it, on the other side, to take care of the gig workers, the freelance workers, if you have them, any suppliers and vendors who need to be treated with respect and who also do not want that annoying experience that you mentioned, Vasco, but with multiple departments not coordinating their work, but then on the supplier side instead of the customer side.
Absolutely. And of course, if you guys want to know more, you can check out unFIX.work, where Jurgen is also publishing quite a few blog posts on the topics related to unFIX. But I think this opens up something we might explore that tomorrow because it's Friday soon. But it really opens up the topic of what is the role of management. And I think you describe it beautifully by saying that their role is to take care of the employee or supplier experience and not to meddle, or I think many of us would call it micromanage the work that people do. Thank you for sharing that, Jurgen.
Thank you too, Vasco.
Hey friends, it's Vasco again, now with a bit longer announcement. I'm part of the team that is behind the Global Scrum Master Summit, the conference dedicated to the Scrum Master role. If you're a Scrum Master, the Scrum Master Summit is the place to learn, to share, and of course to meet new friends. We will have lots of live sessions where you can meet and network with other Scrum Masters from the whole globe. So make sure you check it at bit.ly/SM Summit 22. We have several amazing keynotes and 7 tracks that feature people like you and of course thought leaders sharing their insights, their knowledge, and helping you become an awesome Scrum Master. You can check out all of the details of the summit, including the keynotes announced, the track chairs, and much more at bit.ly/SM Summit 22. That's all one word. That's bit.ly/SM SUMMIT and the numeral 22. I'll see you on the conference floor.